Hey folks, Trubie here, once again to talk to you about Dice Masters. So today, as promised, I'm going to go over my Nationals team, just talk about what I was doing with it, how I did, go through the various pieces, and how I came about with the team. But first, this week at Four Horsemen, our event on Sunday will be Commons only, so Pauper, Little Cup, whatever you want to call it, but basically Gray Stripe, it's good, any other stripe, not good. So, hope to see you on Sunday. But yeah, let's get right into the team. So, let me switch and bring up the display of it. So first, why go over this team? Because obviously, I didn't win. I didn't even quite make top 16. I was 19th, went 3-2. So, why should you care? Big reason I think is just, well, I'm hoping to sort of interject like the thought process that goes into a team. And I'm pretty happy with this team. I'm not saying it's like top tier by any means, but I like how it came out. I think I did an okay job with my reasoning for it. So let's get into it. So for Nationals, the three teams I most expected to see were the Yanti Pureblood, like the UK Nationals team, which was basically get out the super rare Yanti Pureblood, buy a bunch of basic actions, bunch of actions, and just nuke your opponent to death. I was expecting that. Villain Control, or just Norman Osborn Villain Burn. That was another team I was expecting. And also Dragons. I was expecting a lot of Breath Weapon, a lot of using Ring of Winter to get those Dragons fast. So those were the three main things I wanted to be ready for. So the initial team I went with was an Awaken Control team. I was really enjoying it, but I tried to go without using Shriek on it, and I just found it was taking way too long to get the team set up. I played it a little bit locally. I didn't play it really hardcore locally, but it didn't perform quite how I wanted to locally. Like it was very sink or swim. And then when I finally got deep down into testing, I ran it almost exclusively against the Yanti Pureblood team, and I could only beat it less than 25% of the time. So that wasn't good enough. So I went back to the drawing board and started over. Melissa had a really fun sidekick team, which I did like, and I was very tempted to run something very similar, but we only had one of the rare Professor X, and she had dibs on it, so she got to play with it. So once again, that sort of limited my options. But I knew, so we'll go straight to the team now. First card is this lovely guy who I've had sitting here this whole time, BATIRIBATTLE stack. I knew I wanted him. I love Swarm, and I love how with him, Swarm becomes a win condition. So basically, you can use him for ramp early on. Then when you're ready to push through for a victory, you try to get these guys fielded. They all get bonuses. They get really big, and then you win. It was a big start. It was a big part of the win condition for my Awaken team. So basically, with the Awaken team, I'd clear your board, have a bunch of BATIRIBATTLE stacks, push in, and finish you. But it didn't work. But I wanted the BATIRIBATTLE stack. So next card, Shriek. I tried not to use her, but she was a must-have, especially against the Yanti Pureblood. It was a first turn buy against her. It was just a necessary card. Without the Yanti Pureblood, or with the Yanti Pureblood going against it, you needed to slow that team down. You had to get that Yanti blanked on turn 3. You had to. If you didn't, well, I found out how that went. I misrolled my Shriek. One of the games I lost, I misrolled Shriek twice and lost very quickly. So that was on stream, the main WizKids stream. If you get to see it, it was ugly. Bad rolls on my part. Oh well. So yeah, that's Shriek. We all know how she goes. So next up, Red Hood. He was my main win condition. So with the strength of the villain control team, and I felt like you're buying those control elements like Shriek and Blob, and they are actually helping your win condition in the end with Norman Osborn because he deals damage based on the number of villains you have fielded, or villain dice that are out. So all your purchases are helping your win condition, and that's something I wanted as well. And that's actually with old Bard. That was one of the things that made Bard so strong, was your purchases and your control elements turned into win conditions. So with Red Hood, I was trying to do something kind of similar. So by buying Shriek and the battle stacks, those made him stronger. So it was kind of the same concept, and all my purchases were moving towards him and making him stronger. And also, like 2 red hoods and 2 battle stacks all attacking at the same time, that's generally lethal. That's likely going to kill your opponent. So that was his thinking. But, with red hood and battle stacks, you need to get them through. So that is what Madam Web was brought in for. At first, she was there basically purely to help get battle stacks and the red hood through for damage. With the Awakened team, I was clearing the board with damage from like Jubilee and using Danger Room or the staff. So I needed some other way of getting my stuff through unblocked, and Madam Web was a good solution for that. She was also another attacker, so she would help buff Red Hood some more, and she had the benefit that she could be used as control. So basically, 2 energy, you attack with her, and she's going to KO a Shriek on any level. I should have used her more in a control mindset, but I didn't, and I think that was really just one of those things where I didn't get enough reps in with the team. But yeah, she should have been a much earlier buy. So when I was going against the Yuan-Ti Pureblood and Shriek, I could just send her in and deal damage, knock those things out, try to slow down my opponent. And yeah, it was just lack of experience with the team. She was really, really good for that. So next, so Green Devil Mask. Here at our local events, Jonathan Lumen, he's actually the little brother of Dane Lumen, so you may remember hearing about. He's been terrorizing our group for a while with the Green Devil Mask, so it sort of reminded me of how strong this thing is. And in my testing against the Awakened team, using the Awakened team against Yuan-Ti Pureblood, I found that the Yuan-Ti Pureblood really needed to have 3 pieces out to be really effective. The Yuan-Ti Pureblood, another attuned character, usually Zandala Simber, and then the Pseudo Dragon. So if I got out the Shriek, turn 3, blank their Yuan-Ti Pureblood, their likely response would be to buy their own Shriek to Shriek my Shriek. Well, if I had Green Devil Mask, that would be 4 character dice they'd have to put out to blank my Shriek, and that would trigger the Green Devil Mask and hopefully maybe not clear their board, but get rid of some of those pieces and disrupt them. And generally, I thought it kind of worked. And he also helped keep sidekicks. Green Devil Mask also helps keep sidekicks down. So whenever you have 4 dice, so people like to get out those sidekicks to keep their board, keep their board full for blockers, and also keep their dice bag clean. This helps clog the bag. So yeah, I think it was a good add to the team. I just think there were a couple games where I bought it too early, sort of preemptively guessing what my opponent was going to be doing, and so basically it would be kind of a dead die that I would buy early, where I could have been buying stuff to get to my win condition. So that's another thing where if I would have had more reps going in, I probably would have known to hold off to see what my opponent was doing before I went and bought this. Because I mean, if they've already got 4 things out, 5 things out, and you feel the Green Devil Mask, it still does its work. So it's not a necessary thing to buy early on. But yeah, so that covers all of our win conditions and our anti-Yuan-Ti Pureblood planning. But I did mention there was 2 other teams. There was the Norman Osborn and Dragons. So in my testing against Norman Osborn, I was getting my butt kicked a lot until I added Bishop. I was actually trying, instead of using this, I was trying to use the common doppelganger, which I would either use to copy my Shriek, so I'd have the double shrieking out so I couldn't be blanked, or I would copy my Batiri battle stacks, and those would be another Batiri battle stack on the board to give it another +1, so you could have a +4, +4, +5, depending on how many doppelgangers you got out. But yeah, in testing though, against villains specifically, really Bishop became a bit of an imperative because they would already have Shriek for sure, and they would buy Shriek early because she helped their win condition. They'd be moving towards their win con. So I would get Shriek, I'd Shriek the Norman Osborn, they'd Shriek my Shriek, and then Norman would just wreck my face. So Bishop here gave me a 2nd layer protection against burn teams, and he could potentially help with the Yuan-Ti Pureblood. In one of my games he did. Actually, the game I won against Yuan-Ti Pureblood, he did help. So he was a good add. I was pretty happy with it. Just still that 5 cost, a little hard to reach for, but still, I was glad I had him. So next, Hulk. Yes, that Hulk, the one that when anything else takes damage, she deals 2 damage. But you'll see, I did not have any way to ping her. I did not have Magic Missile. I did not have any other like pay a bolt, deal damage to her type of ability. I actually had her exclusively as an anti-breath weapon piece. So you would attack with breath weapon, you pay, you damage all my characters. Hulk is going to make you pay for it. So like if I have 3 sidekicks out in her, you breath weapon, you just paid 6 life for that breath weapon. So yeah, I liked her for that. Also, if I wasn't really planning for it, but with Mr. Fix-It, that's another thing where if you were trying to clear my board with Magic Missile to get through with Mr. Fix-It, Hulk would be out, and you'd take damage for each of my characters you were knocking out. Or if I blocked a whole bunch of characters that you needed to knock out in order to get damage to me with Mr. Fix-It, potentially could deal you damage that way. But yeah, so also I had anticipated using the ring. If my opponent was playing dragons and had the Ring of Winter, I anticipated using the Ring of Winter to get her out more easily. And also I could aggressively attack, even though I didn't have a pinger. I could aggressively attack my characters, and Hulk would make them pay for their blocks. And that global. The global is always handy with Fist Swarm. I've always enjoyed having pump globals like that, so it helps get in that lethal damage. So now, our last piece of the team, character-wise, was Doop. Doop was here basically as a catch-all, and it was kind of a holdover from my Awaken team. His easy capture when spinning up and down could grab an unshriek, or could unshriek one of my stuff by grabbing her. I could take control of, or take out something that was preventing my Madam Web's when attack ability. I think it's the Wonder Woman that prevents when attacks. I could also preemptively capture a dragon before they were able to attack and do breath weapon. Same thing with Mr. Fix-It. I could go ahead and spin him up, capture your Mr. Fix-It before you can attack with it, deal lethal. Granted, he has low defense on his level 1 and 2 face, so that left him open. But if they're spending 2 bolts to knock out Doop on his level 2, that's 2 less bolts they're spending on Mr. Fix-It. So you could potentially survive the damage. Don't know. But that was the main team. Now lastly, we had our basic actions. So I needed a way to spin Doop up and down, so of course I went with Mutation. I also had Giganta on the Awaken team, so with her global you could pay a fist to spin a character up a level, but I needed every slot in this team. I felt like I was really hurt trying to get everything I wanted into this team into it. So I ended up going with just Mutation. I couldn't really support the redundancy of having Mutation and Giganta. But yes, and also Mutation, I had also planned on using it for its actual ability to bring in Madam Mask. Essentially, I had kind of a high fielding cost on level 2 and 3, but it never really happened. I was too busy just trying to buy my stuff to get to my win condition. So then, lastly, our last basic action. This was actually the one spot I never felt like I got right. I had these dreams of having a Batiri battle stack out and then buying 3 battle stack, triggering this and buying 3 battle stacks for one fist apiece and putting them directly in my bag. But and then getting a huge swarm next turn. But that just never happened. I dreamed big, but I never had the right energy. I would get big entrance and I'd have like 2 bolts and a mask instead of 3 fists. So it just didn't work out. Other things I had in this spot were like Create Food and Water, Resurrection, Haymaker. Haymaker was, once again, it was redundant with Hulk, so it didn't feel necessary. Resurrection, it got in the way of Swarm a lot of the time. Create Food and Water, again, is another thing that it's cute. I do like that basic action, but it just didn't really work with this team that well. So nothing really ever felt right. So I ended up going with the thing that was least likely to hurt me. So I went with Big Entrance. And that's the team. Yeah, I'm still pretty darn happy with how this went. It was a fun team to play. I think I did pretty well, 3-2. The 2 games I lost, I think, were very much just my rolls. I think the people I played would also admit my rolls were very bad, but they were able to take advantage of those bad rolls. So I can't completely say, oh yeah, I rolled bad, they didn't deserve that win. No, they deserve the win. And it's just, I wish I could have rolled better to make them work for that win a little harder. But yeah, it's a dice game. The dice gods weren't with me that week. So, oh well. I still had fun. It was a great weekend. I went 3-2. Melissa went 3-2. 19th, she was 24th. So yeah. Hope you like this team. If you have any better ideas for that big entrance slot, I'd love to hear it. Other ideas for the team, I'd love to hear them as well. I think the team works pretty well. Maybe Green Devil Mask could be switched for something else, but still, I'm pretty happy with it. So that's all I got for this week. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys on Sundays.